So Konami decided to go ahead and release a Flash game clone of Dance Dance Revolution for everyone to play on their browsers titled Dance Dance Revolution V. I had found out about this game through a tweet posted by dance game player Zetarux. When I initially saw the score screenshot, I thought it was just some solid MA score on an SM 3.95 or SM5 DDR theme. But then I looked a bit more at the thread, and it sounded like he was talking about an entirely different game, stating things like how there's no chord cohesion, which means that a jump counts as two separate notes. You couldn't fail in this game either, and your life bar started at 0 for some reason. And lastly, there seemed to be some weird scoring system which I still didn't quite understand until playing it a bit more. The game received a decent bit of coverage too, so I had to check this game out for myself and really see if Konami could truly bring the DDR experience to their players at home. And they did not. I'm just gonna go right out and say it, this game is abysmal. It's lazy, rushed, inaccessible, and even for an alpha is a poor excuse for a Flash rhythm game overall. I don't even know what Konami was trying to go for when they made this. Have they even looked at their DDR games in the last 20 years? Because it looks like I'm playing DDR's second mix, and that game looks 10 times better than this still. I appreciate the notion of trying to keep DDR consumers entertained by providing them content at home during this very difficult time, but I'd rather just lay in my bed and play Beat X on my phone at that point if I had to choose between the two, or even Neko Dancer if we really want to start reaching. So let's just start with even booting up the game. First, you have to create an account on Konami's website, and then this grants you access to the DDR-V game. After that, you could find the game on the Konami homepage through an article, which takes you to another link. To play the game, click on the orange highlighted tab and you're taken to the Flash game client. The game took me about a minute or so to download, and then I was finally taken to the game. If you click on the screen or press enter for the first time, it forces a full screen for some weird reason, but you can exit out of that if you'd like. It's not like you'll need to click again anyways, because this game has no mouse support at all. Everything is done through the arrow keys and your enter button, and it makes sense given how little content there is to dissect here. The song selection screen actually looks pretty promising initially. Everything is neatly organized and vibrant, and you can select from a batch of 15 songs. Pretty scarce, but other rhythm games have provided much less before, so it's not the worst thing ever. If you press up on the arrow key, you can access the options menu. What does the options menu have, you ask? It has a pad or joystick configuration page that you can't get out of unless you have something plugged in that you intend on using, at least from what I can assume. I tried pressing enter, backspace, really anything, and I just ended up having to restart the entire game. Until the next day when I was messing around with it a bit more to see if I could find anything else, and I actually did by accident. To go back, you have to hold enter. I'm not sure if this is written explicitly in the Japanese text below, but I can't read it, so I came across this completely accidentally. The second option is your offset, which caught me by surprise that this is what they implemented out of all things, but we'll talk about why that doesn't matter too much in a second. Those are the only two things you could change about this game, but why? Why these two things in particular? I just don't get what led to this choice. Maybe you could change your speed or your note skin once you select a song, right? Nope. You're playing 1X, OG note skin. I'm surprised they even had snap coloring, to be honest. Naturally, I just went to the arrow keys if I wanted to play pad charts, but you don't have the option to do so otherwise. There's no key configuration, so if you have a laptop with super small arrow keys or a keyboard with a busted arrow key, forget about it. The gameplay is just an eyesore to look at, especially if you hold anything above 100 combo. The combo number in text is abhorrent as can be, which makes reading 16 streams a nightmare too. Even if you have your game mostly synced, your game falls behind on slowdowns and you're hitting like half a second late until the song goes back to normal again. The timing windows are as loose as can be too. I have no idea what they are, but I found myself being able to hit 16 triplets as 12th notes and was still MFCing, so that should give you a little bit of insight. But it doesn't stop there. For some reason, when there's a speed up, the timing windows get way tighter out of nowhere, like it's an actual DDR cabinet all of a sudden. I'm assuming this is due to an FPS drop that occurs when this happens, and playing outside of recording, I was getting the same results. If there's a computer that can run this game super fluently, I'm curious if the same thing happens. In Come to Life CSP, you actually cannot hit the note that the stop occurs on as a Marvelous if you're playing it like the original chart. The chart stops before the Marvelous window, so if you want to hit that note, you have to awkwardly time when the chart is going to move again, and you have to do this twice. You might be able to snag a Marvelous if you hit it super early enough, but I just opted for the other strategy. Sometimes the game will just register you missing completely if you're even the slightest bit late, so the late window just doesn't exist for these two specific notes. For 25 minutes of agony, I tried to MFC this, but when you factor in those 2 notes, 1x, and the inability to see the notes half the time, the closest I can get was 1 perfect, and I don't see myself coming back to try this ever again anytime soon. Until I took a brief break from scripting to play it once more out of boredom, and then I got the MFC. There's no boo window, and the good window appears to be a lot smaller than I thought. I was ghost tapping 8th notes before 4th notes the entire time and didn't trigger 1 good somehow. So it's almost like it's harder to get goods in this game than it is to get marvelouses. If you don't know what you're doing or you can't see a section, just spam one of these bad boys and you're right back on track, because goods have the weirdest windows in this version and also count towards combo. I don't particularly agree with goods counting combo in any game, but let's not get too distracted. I jump trailed this entire chart and ended up with almost 900k, so something tells me the good window is somehow tighter than the other windows. Lastly, gameplay wise, there's no chord cohesion like I noted at the beginning of the video. My guess is that this was just a hilarious oversight that they just didn't decide to fix, and it feels pretty cursed to be playing DDR charts like this. Imagine Prey CSP with no chord cohesion on pad. According to someone on FFR, the cutoff seems to be 900k for a AAA, which makes sense because I got a score that had 930k and it was a AAA, so that seems to be the most reasonable barrier to me. To top it all off, the announcer does not shut up the entire game, at least when you're playing expert/challenge charts. I did some quick testing and realized he says something every 20 steps, and since you're playing so much faster on something like Come to Life, the announcer is constantly trying to catch up with the song to get all of his phrases out, and you have to deal with him talking over the entire song as a result.
You can do no wrong. You got the beat, you got the song, 500 combos. You got the step, you got the flow. Keep up the perfect combo. You can do no wrong. 600 combos.
And that pretty much sums up DDRV. I just really don't get how out of touch this is. It's not even a proof of concept, it's barely an alpha. I don't even know why this exists in the first place, to be honest. There's a completely functionable and great looking DDRA theme on Stepmania 5, so if you truly want to have the DDR experience at home, you could just install the game and theme and edit the timing windows in your preferences.ini to the DDRA timing windows. I've been told here and there that there's no concrete numbers for DDRA, but you can get pretty close and just go off of this chart if anything. I'll provide those links below in the description for those who are interested. Maybe this will get a complete rework and I'll eat my words, but by the time people are going to arcades again, I highly doubt there will be any notable advancements, especially since they said it's a limited release. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting the channel, and if you want to support the channel for more rhythm gaming content, feel free to check out my Patreon along with my other links below. I'll see you on whatever video I upload next, and take care.